This is the exact 3-step framework that I use to stop reinventing my offers every time I signed a new client. And so by the end of this video, you're gonna have the exact strategy that you need to repackage your offers into 3 really dialed tiers. And for me, this changed everything. If you're a solopreneur earning under $10,000 a month, I can almost guarantee that you're letting revenue slip through your fingers right now because your offer just doesn't account for these 3 things. And to be honest, I was doing the exact same thing. I was offering a one-size-fits-all package that either overcharged people for fluff that they didn't really need, or it really under-delivered for the teams that were big enough and needed a lot more help. And then it hit me that there are 2 really massive gaps in how we sell our knowledge. On one side, I had the really scrappy young entrepreneurs who just needed their next steps and they were free to run with it. They were ready to grind, but they found that they needed, let me draw this out here. They found that they needed more education. But then on the other side, I had basically bigger teams that really didn't care how the cake was made. They just basically wanted it fully baked and they needed execution. And so the problem I realized was that I was trying to sell basically people on the exact same offer. I was trying to sell it to both people, but execution was going to be way too expensive for, the smaller scrappy guys. But then on the other side, education was going to be basically a terrible offer for those big teams. And so this is what I learned. If you find it really difficult to scope out projects, it's probably because you weren't accounting for this spectrum here. You have a one-size-fits-all offer that really doesn't work. So what we're going to do is talk about how to craft an offer for each end of the spectrum that is tailored to, people that fall on both sides and even in the middle. So the first one that we're going to touch on is basically here on this education side would be that people want to pay you for the information that you know. And at this stage, basically the client just needs you to name their problem and then point them in the right direction. And the goal with this offer is really to equip them with tools. These can be ebooks or courses or your playbooks that you use or even a worksheet. But the reason that this works is because it's very low friction. The time to value is very short. They get the knowledge that they want, and then in turn, you can sell this information very quickly and easily, and you can do it repeatedly. But then this is where things get really interesting because for the first time we have a gap basically that we need to fill with a new offer, because some people are going to love the information that you have to share, but they want to know how it applies to their specific scenario. So we call that application. That is our first problem. But before we talk about how to bridge that gap, I want to be real with you. And, I'm just starting out on this YouTube journey. And to be completely honest with you, it's a lot of work to turn these ideas into something that's going to be useful for you. So if you're getting value from this breakdown, please consider subscribing. I know it's a small click on your side, so it might seem insignificant, but really that is a massive signal to me that I should keep sharing these kinds of behind the scenes strategies. So that'd be super helpful. Thank you. Okay, so let's get into this second tier, which is personalization. They need personalization for their scenario. Basically, we're taking the same information that we gave those first guys, but then for these guys, we're offering them, the ability to talk through the nuance of their own situation. So you can see, right, if that first one, they are paying for basically education. These guys want to fall somewhere between. They want that education. They want a little bit of execution if they can get it. But again, your full execution package is just going to be too expensive. So the solution for these guys is going to be basically something like regular coaching calls or private access to like a community, or even like custom GPTs that you've created using AI that help them get that personalized element of that information that you gave them. Basically telling them what to do with the information that you gave them. So you were helping them sort of implement, but they're still the ones doing the work at the end of the day. And so moving further down the spectrum of execution, you can see we hit another roadblock or another gap number 2, which is basically that these larger businesses don't have the time to learn the ins and outs or the technical side of your business. They basically just want somebody to come in and activate the solution immediately. And so really they want to hand that off and have somebody implement the process for them. And so on this execution side, we have implementation. And really this used to be my only offer, and I have a feeling it might be the same for you. And it's a trap because it makes it impossible to scale because it involves you in the process 100% of the way through. That basically justifies if I'm going to be involved 100% of the way through, naturally that should come with some sort of premium for payment. So now let's talk about what you can do to implement this process for yourself, for your own offers. I figured the best way to do that would basically be show you how this works in my business, how I've implemented this recently, and maybe it'll help you structure yours. So pulling the iPad back up here. So for each of the offers here, we have a tier tied specifically to their objective, which is information, personalization, or implementation. So those tiers, basically, it's a sliding scale of my involvement and then the way that we are delivering the information to them. So to start us off here with information, that information tier, I call it DIY, which is do it yourself, which is I give them a curriculum, which is video modules and worksheets. And so I call those my systems. And actual tools and all that stuff. I give them the systems, and it's the same exact systems that I use in the higher end tiers. But again, we're changing the way we are delivering those systems to them. So they're getting video modules, lessons, tools, and all of my best recommendations. It's the same information, but they are largely driving that process and implementing it fully themselves, on their own time, on their own schedule. And so they can really, like I said, run with that process. And then we offer a private Slack community where they're thrown in there and they can basically ask questions at large. And hopefully if they really get stuck, they're not just on their own. We, kind of help them as they work through that. Moving on to that second gap, right? People want that information applied to their specific situation. So we've come up with a personalization tier, which would be, we call that done with you. And it's going to have the same exact systems that the DIY guys had. So same systems. They get the same private Slack community that they can jump into. And here's where things kind of differ a little bit, is they get regular calls with the team. And those are to basically implement. And again, if they're raising their hand saying, dang it, I'm stuck. I don't know how to implement this information myself. What do I do? We have regular calls, whether it's bi-weekly or monthly, where we dive in together into these systems that they're building and get hands-on. And basically on those calls, that's a time for us to regularly say, hey, okay, we know kind of what's going on here in your scenario. We know why this isn't maybe applying to you. And here's how we would approach this differently for you. So they're paying for that access to basically say, okay, cool, I've got the information. I felt pretty confident implementing it myself, but I really am stuck. This is the solution for those guys. It's personalized information. Okay. And then finally, our largest tier going along with that implementation is going to be what we call done for you. All of our systems, we do everything. And that's really nice to those guys who don't want the education, they just want execution. And then of course we give them a private Slack channel where they can ask questions if they have them. We provide regular updates. And then we also do regular check-ins on calls, one-on-ones, where we provide larger updates. So this is it. This is the system. And I hope, your biggest takeaway basically from this point is this, that not everybody is going to want the same thing because not everybody has the same problems at the same scale. And so once I stopped forcing everybody into one box, my business became a lot more predictable and honestly a lot more enjoyable. So if you are ready to stop the guesswork and install real systems for growth, I've put together a guide that actually helps you. It's completely free, but it helps you discover the gaps in your own business. And you can find that down in the description below. And if this video helped you find a gap in your own business and your own offers, it would actually mean a lot if you would subscribe. Again, I'm a new channel and every bit of support helps. So in the meantime, keep creating and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.